Long ago, near the Sea of Galilee, in a town called Capernaum, lived a boy named Elior. He was not like the others. He could not speak. From the day he was born, no sound ever came from his mouth. The townspeople whispered that he was cursed. His mother called it a gift, but no one really knew. Elior wandered the streets in silence, barefoot and wide-eyed, drawing pictures in the dust with a stick. He watched everything closely. People didn't notice him, which made it easy to observe them all. He saw how merchants argued over coins, how beggars were ignored, how Roman soldiers marched with empty eyes. But then one morning, everything changed. It was early, just after dawn. The fishermen were dragging nets from the water, when a crowd began to form under a fig tree near the lake. A man was teaching. His voice, though gentle, carried like wind across the water. People leaned forward to hear. They looked at him like they had never seen anything like him before. Elior climbed up onto a stone wall to get a better view. The man wasn't dressed like a priest or a soldier. He wore simple robes and sandals dusted with earth. His hair was long, and his eyes held something deeper than words. For a moment, mid-sentence, the man stopped. He looked around, slowly, and then his gaze landed directly on Elior. Their eyes locked, and then he smiled. Not just a polite smile, but the kind that sees you. Truly sees you. Elior froze. He didn't know why, but something inside him stirred. He placed a hand over his chest. The man nodded ever so slightly before turning back to the crowd. That was the first time Elior saw Jesus of Nazareth. Over the following days, Elior watched Jesus everywhere he went. He saw him touch a leprand. The man's skin cleared before their eyes. He watched him lay hands on a blind girl, and she screamed in joy as she looked at her mother for the first time. He saw him break 5 loaves of bread and feed hundreds. Elior couldn't understand the teachings, he couldn't hear the tone, nor speak the words. But he saw the meaning in every movement, every embrace, every miracle. And at night, Elior would draw it all in the dirt, his own gospel written not in letters, but in shapes and faces. But not everyone was pleased. One night, Elior heard angry voices in the square. Temple priests accused Jesus of blasphemy. Roman officials said he was dangerous. And in the shadows stood Elior's father, a Roman centurion. He had left Elior and his mother years ago. Now he stood tall in armor, sword at his side, receiving orders from the governor himself to track Jesus. Elior's heart ached. The one who gave him life would now hunt the one who gave him hope. The next morning, Jesus was gone. Word spread. He had been arrested. The city was restless. Some cheered, others wept. Elior heard a merchant whisper, "They're taking him to Golgotha." He ran, fast, through streets and alleys, past crying women and shouting soldiers. He climbed a hill of stone and dust, where 3 crosses stood high against the darkening sky. On the center cross was Jesus. His face was bruised. Blood trickled down from a crown of thorns. Nails held his hands and feet to the wood. Lightning flashed. The earth rumbled. But even in agony, Jesus looked out over the crowd with love. And then again he saw Elior. From that great height, through pain and chaos, Jesus looked straight at the boy with no voice. And even now, he smiled. When Jesus breathed his last, the sky turned black. The crowd dispersed, but Elior stayed. He approached the cross slowly. Tears fell down his cheeks. He knelt in the dirt, placed a small stone at the base of the cross, and pressed his hand to his chest, just like he did that first day by the lake. Then, for the first time in his life, something rose in his throat. His lips parted. Air passed through. And he whispered, "Jesus." It was weak, raspy, barely more than a breath, but it was a voice. His voice, years past. Elior became a quiet teacher in a village far away. He never stood on stages. He didn't preach with thunder. But he gathered children around him, drew pictures in the dirt, and told them of a man who could calm storms and heal hearts. They called him the boy who once had no voice, now telling the story of the one man who never needed words to understand him. And every time he spoke the name Jesus, he remembered the smile, the eyes, and the moment he was seen.